Let's go now to Chris Chmielenski, Immigration Accountability Project. Sir, thank you again for joining us on Right Side.
Thanks for having me back on.
Definitely. Okay, so a lot's going on when it comes to the southern border. We see just a video from, I think it was Los Angeles, right? The LA area, where there was mass deportation in an area, and there's this line of protesters stopping them and all that back and forth. Your thoughts about everything that's going on with the southern border?
Yeah, well, specifically on the southern border, I mean, things are doing pretty well down there. Trump administration is achieving all-time low type numbers when it comes to border apprehensions and encounters down along the border of illegal aliens trying to enter the United States illegally. So the administration is doing a great job down on the border. Again, with passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which surges about $150 billion worth of funding towards both border and interior enforcement. That's going to be a huge help. ICE is doing everything that they can, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and that's what you're referring to out in Los Angeles. The Trump administration said that they were going to do this. They said that if your city is going to have sanctuary policies, well, we know that that's where illegal aliens tend to hide out because they're going to go to places where they know that the communities are going to be more protective of them. So that's what they're targeting. There's also usually a higher concentration of criminal aliens living within those sanctuary communities as well. So that's why you're seeing these stepped up ICE activities in Los Angeles. But I just want to be clear that ICE is doing this across the country. I live down on the Gulf Coast, and the New Orleans office for ICE is constantly reporting apprehensions that they've made of illegal aliens. So every single ICE office across the country, ICE field office across the country is very active. But what you're typically see reported are in these areas where where ICE is more likely to face some adversity, like in Los Angeles, where you even had the mayor step in and try to block some of these enforcement procedures.
Yeah, that was wild. If you saw that video of her using one of the Customs Border Protection agents, one of the commander's cell phones for a second, and yeah, anyway, she was on the line with somebody else at Customs Border Protection, but that agent was like, okay, ma'am, I have to take my phone back now. I mean, there's just strange stuff going on. I mean, she's going against the law there, the mayor of LA. So we see that happening. Also, we confirmed that there will be no amnesty. I mean, Border Czar Tom Homan said he's hearing these media reports that there's going to be some sort of amnesty situation when it comes to this mass deportation operation. Your thoughts about the Border Czar?
Well, yeah, the reports are coming out of President Trump's mouth himself. Sadly, he's mentioned this a couple times at rallies. He did so also in a press conference. Brooke Rollins, his Secretary of Agriculture, has been pretty vocal about it, that they want to do something to protect illegal farm workers and illegal hospitality workers here working in the United States. But that's somewhat counterintuitive to the America First campaign promises the president ran on. That was their platform: put Americans first, get Americans back to work, fill up some of these open jobs with American workers, especially those that are being held by foreign workers, whether they're here legally or illegally. So there was some pressure applied to the administration that it could impact farm laborers, it could impact hospitality workers, and they had a couple of sensitive ears to that in the administration. So some conversations were had, and the president even talked it up. But in the end, they decided, well, it does really go against our America First policy agenda. And quite frankly, the MAGA movement doesn't support it. So they backed off of it. Thankfully, a couple of days ago, Secretary Rollins did address the press and said, listen, we're not going to do this. Whether or not we'll continue to see, or we'll start to see again, worksite raids done on more agricultural type sector areas, that remains to be seen. We'd like to see those efforts done. We don't think that anybody is above the law. If you're going to do worksite enforcement on non-agricultural sites, you should do them on agricultural sites too. But again, still a little too soon to tell if the administration is going to step back up those efforts and really target agricultural workers as well. But for now, no longer is there much talk about an executive order that could protect illegal workers here working in either agriculture or the hospitality industry.
Exactly. And you brought up MAGA there, and you think of MAGA, you think of the majority of this country, voting for President Trump over the past 3 elections. And it's a loud voice. It's the majority of the nation, common sense Americans. So it's great to be a part of Team MAGA. Now, also the Alligator Alcatraz, and then also in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, there's a Customs Border Protection Agent Training Center that was just opened there in West Virginia. Then you go down to Florida, and then there's Alligator Alcatraz. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and again, this is what you need to do. If this is what an administration needs to do, if they're going to try to achieve their goal of mass deportations, and that's to have these partnerships with state and local governments, and that's what you're seeing in Alcatraz, Alligator Alcatraz, for example, down in Florida. The state of Florida is very willing to, unlike the city of Los Angeles, Florida is very willing to assist the administration in its mass deportation efforts. Listen, there's only a couple thousand immigration and customs enforcement officers across the country. Now, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act did provide funding to hire an additional 10,000 ICE agents. But it's going to take time to get those ICE agents on board, to get them trained, and to get them fully integrated into the force. I mean, it's going to be at least a year, if not longer than that, I would think, to amp up those efforts. So the administration is going to need to look towards friendly communities, both on the state and local level, to help them out. And this is something that's in law. Congress passed what's called the 287G program, which allows local officials to partner with federal officials in federal immigration enforcement efforts. And that's all you're seeing with some of these examples.
Exactly. So the big, beautiful law, to your point, not only bringing more of a force down there when it comes to immigration, customs, border protection, but also finishing the border wall. You remember back in the days at the rallies, the people would be chanting, "Build the wall, build," and then you've got Brick Suit wearing a wall, right? I mean, and then finally now with the big, beautiful law, we're going to see the entire wall built on our southern border. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and this is, obviously President Trump campaigned on this back in 2016, ran into a roadblock with Congress. They couldn't get the funding through. They did get some funding through, but it was mostly to improve border wall funding that already existed, that maybe wasn't exactly doing its job. But this One Big Beautiful Bill Act does provide funding for them to move forward and to add additional border barriers. And let me there, it's a 1,000-mile border down there between the United States and Mexico. We don't necessarily need a border wall across the entire 1,000 miles, probably only needed across about 700 of those miles because of the type of terrain that's in other areas. It's pretty much unpassable for illegal aliens to cross those areas. But we do desperately need that border wall in other areas. And this money will certainly be a step in the right direction. And I think the Trump administration is going to do everything that they can to get as much constructed as they possibly can before the next presidential election.
I hear you loud and clear, and that's still, 3+ years away. Chris Chmielenski
Exactly.
with Immigration Accountability Project. Chris, thanks again for joining us and your insight and analysis all about the immigration and security as well. Thank you again, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Definitely. Thank you.